multiple-time Pro Bowl linebacker, one of the best in the game, and somebody that I'm really looking forward to watching play for Robert Saleh this season. CJ Mosley, the pride of the Alabama Crimson Tide. CJ, thanks so much for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you. How y'all doing?
Doing great. I know Luke's in Australia, so right now I don't even know what time it is. What time is it in Australia, Luke?
It's about 10:15 in the morning, so we're doing okay.
That's crazy. Prime time here and a little past 10 in the morning in Australia. But CJ, the first thing I wanted to ask you about before we get into what you're going to be doing for the Jets this year, and I want to ask you about how you think you're going to fit in Robert Saleh's defense and what you think of the new coach and all of that. But first, because it's draft night, there's always a lot of Alabama players that are going to get picked high. And obviously you were a first-round pick yourself quite a few years ago. I wanted to ask you before we get into the bigger prospects, Dylan Moses, it's a guy that plays the same position as you, inside linebacker. How much of an opportunity have you had to watch him? And if you've had a good amount of time to watch him, what do you think of his game? How do you think he's going to translate the next level?
He's like the prototype of the new age linebackers. You know, the guys that are smaller, can run around blocks, make plays on receivers and tight ends and running backs. So he's going to be very valuable wherever he goes, and including special teams. He can be a monster making plays on special teams as well. So whoever picks him up, the quicker he learns special teams and start making plays, the more playing time he'll get. So he definitely has a lot of upside because he did have a few tough injuries like those last 2 years, especially when he was really rolling. So he'll get back going.
I know Luke has some questions for you about Robert Saleh's defense and how you're going to fit in there, but I wanted to continue the theme about players from the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's very possible that you could see 3 Alabama players picked in the top 10, the 2 receivers, Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle, and then, of course, Mac Jones. What do you think about those 3 guys specifically? Do you think that they all have the potential to be stars at the next level? I know there's been a lot of debate about Mac Jones. He's been a very polarizing prospect because nobody doubts that he's good, but the question is, how good is he? Is he good enough to pick at number 3? Is that what Kyle Shanahan is going to do? What do you think? Tell me about these 3 guys. I know you're a defensive guy, but obviously you got a chance to watch them.
With Mac, what a story. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know he was like balling like that. I was like, man, Mac Jones out of nowhere. But man, kudos to him though. But whoever picks him up, bro, I just think whatever system he gets in, I just hope it's built, built for his style of play. It's all about what kind of system you go in, what kind of situation you're in with your offensive line, whether the coaches are bonding well, have a game plan that he can feel confident to go in with every week. So whatever system he's in, I think that's going to benefit him even more.
Speaking of systems, that's a good transition from a base 3-4 to a base 4-3 under Robert Saleh, the new head coach, comes in from the San Francisco 49ers. Jeff Ulbrich going to be the defensive coordinator. He comes in from the Atlanta Falcons. And Luke, I know this is something that you and I have talked about a lot. So you've got some schematic questions for CJ. So he's
Thanks for coming on, man. A pleasure to have you on with us. Going from the 3-4 to the 4-3, obviously Greg Williams, there was a lot of stunts from the D-line and a lot of kind of two-gapping. Saleh's scheme, a lot more aggressive one-gap penetration. How does that affect your role as a middle linebacker, and how do you see that impacting your game?
Yeah, so well, the first thing, when you're in the defense, you play all of them. Like you might start in 3-4, you might start in 4-3, but you playing every single one by the end of the game. So as far as that part of the scheme, that's not really concern. But just to speak on the run game, with Coach Williams' past defense, we was running downhill, fitting gaps more with the linebackers. So far, what I've seen with the defense that we're doing now, our defensive line, our ends, they're setting the penetration, they're getting the gap. So the linebackers aren't as run heavy as I've been playing pretty much my whole career. So. But I mean, that's less headaches I got to worry about with the big guys. So our D line is going to definitely be the ignition to our defense.
Yeah, it's CJ. I know a lot of people, talk about you playing in the box, but your coverage skills are extremely underrated. I look back to the last time you were healthy against Buffalo, the play you actually injured your groin on, I believe, when you made that pass breakup. Are you excited to do a little more of that, being coverage play, not so committed to the run? Is that something that you think is an undervalued part of your game and something that you excel at that maybe you don't get the recognition you should?
Yeah, Don, it's always fun, being in coverage, making those big plays, interceptions, ball deflections, getting the ball out. So, I mean, that's what it's all about. That's how you get paid. That's how you be successful in this league, getting turnovers and, causing fumbles. So just to be more intact and to know about routes even more. So that's one thing about just, once you get in the league and you start developing, techniques and, seeing things that the offense does, just being able to read the offense and see how people line up. And just when you make the right read, get on that right route, it just feels good after doing all that work.
Yeah, last one from me, CJ. Obviously, really disappointing for you with the groin injury, and must have been really tough after an incredible first half in Buffalo. Personally, you had the fumble recovery and the pick six, and everything looked incredible. The start to the Adam Gase era. Were you kind of glad to have last year off to get your body right? And do you feel refreshed and just ready to attack this season and in a much better place than you were 12 or 18 months ago?
To put it in perspective, man, I just say it's a blessing in disguise. So, I mean, there was some ups and downs through the whole thing. There's some good days, some bad days. But at the end of the day, man, it was a blessing in disguise. And, what was meant to be was meant to be. So, I mean, all I can do is just, for these next 4 years, or however long I'm with the team, I give them all. So that's all I'm worried about.
Awesome.
You had conversations with Jeff Ulbrich and Robert Saleh yet?
Yes. I'll talk to Coach Saleh, I think the first day he got in, and Coach Ulbrich once he got in. So, I've pretty much been back up that way since January. So I wanted to make sure I met all the coaches. Met Coach Rudy, linebacker coach, HP, Six linebacker coach. So we've been in meetings with the off-season program starting. So I mean, we pretty much getting it rolling.
How about some of the new players, Eric Davis, who joins you in the linebacking core? Have you had an opportunity to talk to him yet?
Just on our virtual meetings so far. So, but now I've definitely seen him on film plenty of times, making plays. He's a big hitter. So it's an upgrade with our room. It's a lot of new pieces. So it feels like everybody's just kind of starting back over. So that's one unique thing with me coming back into a new defense, new coaching staff. Even though I was with the team, the first year when I had my injury, but it's like I never really got just kind of down into our defense. So having just pretty much like a fresh restart, it's just it's like I'm right back where I was in a sense. So like I said, man, I'm just excited to get back on the field.
CJ, you came from a winning culture in Baltimore, and that's what Robert Saleh is trying to bring here to the New York Jets, and obviously so is Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas has a Super Bowl ring, and Robert Saleh went to the Super Bowl with the San Francisco 49ers. Talk to me a little bit about what you learned in Baltimore that you brought with you to try and help make that a reality, a winning culture here. And what do you see with what Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are building around you and the other players that makes you optimistic about the fact that they're going to be able to do that here?
Well, the first thing is they're trying to lay a foundation early. Coach Joe Douglas started that immediately, and with Coach Saleh, he's trying to lay a foundation as soon as he got in our meeting. So with the coaching staff he's hired, with the players that they picked up so far, you just kind of the main thing you want to do as a new coach or new GM, anything, you want to build confidence in your players. You want to build confidence in your coaching staff, and that's definitely what they've done in the first few months.
CJ, weird thing with Arnold, because you didn't really get to play with him that much because you were injured that first year, and then last year you opted out, and then he ends up getting traded. Were you surprised that this is the way it ended for him? Did you think that he was going to be the quarterback here for a long time?
I did, but I mean, that's just how life goes, man. Sometimes you get dealt a bad hand. Sometimes injuries happen. Some things happen that you can't control. But he handled like a pro. You didn't see him complain about it throughout all the memes, all the stuff that they try to break his spirit. Man, he kept his head high. And a few conversations that we did have, man, they were productive. So he's definitely got to got a high ceiling for him. He has a strong mind, and a strong heart.
You're fully healthy. A lot of people have been wondering about that because they haven't seen you, but you were healthy before last season even started. So any fan that's worried about whether or not you're going to be 100%, you've been healed for a long time, right?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
And so you had this year where you didn't play, and it must have been weird for you because you've been playing football forever at the highest levels. And then this year, you not only weren't there because of injury like you were the year before, this year it was because of a strange pandemic that swept the globe and kept you out this year. That was why you opted out. What was the year like for you? Was it strange?
Like I said earlier, bro, it was blessing in disguise. You know, the time I did get off, I got to fully heal my body. You know, lingering injuries, get real rehab because after I got injured in 2019, I was in the middle of my rehab when the pandemic happened. So like everything just got shut down. So I'm just in my basement, you know, trying to do my rehab program. So it was tough. It was frustrating because as soon as you feel like you're about to kind of get back going, you know, that happened, and you know that's just a small blip. But you know the pandemic really did. But you know, it was just like I said, man, I'm just 100% ready to go. Just be there.
CJ, I don't know if you know, but Luke is the international ambassador for Quinnen Williams. So he and I both actually share a mutual admiration of Quinnen Williams and how we think he's going to be one of the best players in the NFL. In fact, a few of us were saying he was the best player in the draft. Another player from the Alabama Crimson Tide. Luke, I know you had some questions about how everything's going to fit together with Quinnen, with CJ, with Carl Lawson coming in, with some other pieces now up front. Why don't you go ahead and answer about that?
Yeah, I mean, it must be exciting for you, CJ, playing behind a line with Quinnen Williams, who is kind of a top 5 defensive tackle and a guy that Scott and I love. Carl Lawson coming on board. Obviously, you got Foley and JFM and those guys. Sheldon Rankins. It must be really exciting for you and just make your job so much more enjoyable playing behind that caliber of defensive line.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. You know, that's a part about football that people don't think about as far as players. You know, when you add all these new pieces, you learn your teammates' new game. You know, when you're in meetings, when you're in practice, and you fit no blocks or fit no runs, you figure out how. All right, Sheldon likes to penetrate left hard, or he likes to make the guy cut back, or so that's just going to be a new thing I have to learn that I'm looking forward to. So it's a lot of new faces, and it's just going to be fun to kind of get everybody's feel for the game, so we can get this deep.